Yo, what's up, y'all? Welcome in. It is Thursday, August 25th, 2022, and myself, T-Bob Hebert, and Aaron Murray are back with yet another day of Snaps, the college football podcast on The Volume. Shout out to Papa Colin. We love being here on The Volume each and every day, talking about the sport that we love so much. And check it out, boys. Here we are at the end of week one, but here we are at the beginning of week zero. That's right. The long dark of the offseason is finally almost over, and we get actual college football in what, 48 hours? I don't, in a short amount of time. Aaron, what's up, dude? Welcome in. How we feeling today? I'm feeling pretty juiced up.
I'm right there with you, T-Bob. I'm ready to go for some football. It's been a crazy offseason, but we're finally made it here to week zero. My only beef with this is, why do we call it week zero? It's beginning of the season. I think we need to rebrand week zero. I don't get it. I don't like it. Why don't we just call it kickoff weekend? Maybe sounds a little bit better to me because there's actually games going on. So other than that, other than it being called week zero, I'm super excited to watch some football this weekend. In a rare weekend for me too. Usually I'm on the road covering games this year for ESPN. This weekend I actually get to sit back on my couch, drink a couple cold ones, relax, and watch football, not from a hotel room. So I'm pretty pumped about it.
Hell yeah, man. I'm going to be on the beach watching football this weekend. Very excited about that. No, I mean, look, I will disagree on the week zero thing. This is week zero. I mean, let's be clear. We're going to put a ton of energy into Nebraska Northwestern today, which is interesting. And it's in Dublin, which is shucking awesome. Okay. But at the same time, the overall slate, like, just wait till next week, right? We look at next week's games, that it's going to be a banger. So I kind of like this as like a week zero or like a beta test type of thing. But you're right. At the end of the day, you are correct. We have actual college football coming up this weekend, and that starts with Nebraska Northwestern, 11:30 a.m. It's on Fox. It's big. It's in Dublin. Very excited here. And, it is a massive game for Scott Frost, like kind of shockingly big game here. I don't want to say that it is do or die, but when you look at last year, you're talking about Nebraska. You're talking about the best 3-9 team of all time, okay? Which is a ridiculous statement, made even more ridiculous by the fact that it's actually pretty much true. One of those 3 wins, though, was an absolute drubbing of Northwestern. So if you're a Nebraska fan and you're doing the mental math and you're looking at how they can build what they need to do this year, this is not a game that Scott Frost can afford to lose, given how hot his seat is currently.
It's hot. It's flaming hot, and it's unfortunate, but it's just the world we live in nowadays. I mean, Scott Frost, obviously the beloved son there at Nebraska. What he did at UCF obviously gave him the ability to go to Nebraska and be the head coach. I think he's phenomenal. Guys on the team love him. Fans love him. But at the end of the day, what matters? And what matters is wins and losses. We're talking about a Nebraska team that hasn't had a winning season since 2016. Nebraska, the tradition, the national championships, hasn't had a winning season in a long, long time. So, yes, there is a sense of pressure and urgency right now from Scott Frost. And they were right there. I mean, you said 3-9 last year, and it seemed like every single week they just found a way to lose a football game in the fourth quarter. Can they flip the script? Was that just a, hey, we're there, we just need one more season to take it to the next level? I don't know, but I am confident. They got a good quarterback, Casey Thompson, transferred over from Texas. You look at the stats last year, 24 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, was good. I do think an improvement from Adrian Martinez, who picked up and left this offseason. So you got a quarterback, I think, is an upgrade, a position that has hurt in the past couple of years. Adrian was a turnover machine. So they're right there. What does he need to do to get off the hot seat is the big question for Coach Frost. I think just plain simple, have a winning season. Can they get to 7 wins, whether it's in the regular season or 6-6, and then have a bowl win? I think to me that signifies, hey, we're moving in the right direction. And I think they're good enough to do that. They're well coached. They got the resources. Can they now have the essentially the results on the field? Get me to 7-5. I think that cools the seat. Not necessarily gets him off the hot seat, but 7-5 will buy him another season.
I mean, I should hope it cools the seat. His name is Scott Frost. There is a delicious irony in Frost being on the hot seat. But Aaron, I have my third eye is fully open entering this football season. Okay, and what I see in Nebraska, sure, they can't pass block worth a damn. And sure, Casey Thompson was actually pretty awful when pressured last year. But you know what they do have this year? The boys are playing Whipple ball. That's right. Mark Whipple, the man behind the magic at Pittsburgh, has joined Scott Frost, which hell of a sell job by Frost to get Whipple there. I know Narduzzi and Whipple reportedly had kind of maybe some issues seen eye to eye, but I think that's a great hire and one that has the potential to make this Nebraska offense okay, right? And make Casey Thompson okay. And you may say, but T-Bob, how could you say that? Whipple wants to throw the ball, and you just told me this is one of the worst pass blocking lines you've ever seen. And that is true. But you know what? Sometimes if you suck at pass blocking, ironically, an offense where you're just going to get rid of the ball as fast as possible is not the worst thing in the world. And yes, if it sounds like it's reaching, maybe I am a little bit, okay? But guess what? I have fully thrown myself behind my corn-loving brethren up there in Nebraska. I love these people. I really like wide receiver Omar Manning. This cat is 6'4", 225, and one of the most random stats I've ever come across. He's top 5 in the country when it comes to catching shitty passes. So like if Casey Thompson throws off target because he's under pressure, there is no one better to catch that ball than Omar Manning. Another Omar that I like, Omar Brown on the other side of the ball, corner transfer from Northern Iowa. You'll like this. He's dominated on that level, has not allowed a single touchdown the last 2 years while playing at Northern Iowa.
You and the group of 5 guys that have crazy stats. I mean, you're just such a big fan of a guy that, you dominate the group of 5. It automatically means it's going to translate to the Power 5 and T-Bob's
Don't
opinion.
hate. Don't hate. Look, man,
I'm
you
not.
can only do what you
saying,
can do, relative to your competition.
Agree. Just be
Hey, how about
cautiously
this?
optimistic is all I'm saying. Cautiously optimistic about guys that are making that big transition.
If you want to be optimistic about Nebraska, you got to throw caution to the wind. There is no room for caution when it comes to Nebraska. Like, this is a bad team that I'm just going with a gut feeling that they are going to be good. Plus, I've been watching a lot of the Mr. Freeze cold pun montages on YouTube, on like, what killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age, and a lot of the cruel cold freeze. And it's really getting me fired up for this weekend. Another great omen. And I'm sorry, Brum. I wish I would have told you. Ryan Brumley's our producer, does an excellent job. I wish I would have told you so you could have this ready to roll. But I saw a tweet earlier where in Ireland, Erin, people learning how to drive, kids, are required to put a red N on their car, okay? The funny part is, it is the exact color and font of the Nebraska N. So if you are in Ireland, there are literally hundreds of thousands of Nebraska N's driving all over the country, okay? It is a home game for the Huskers. Let's ride, dude. Scott Frost gets the dub. I'm with you. I think he does enough to survive another year. As I said, it is Whipple ball time. So I'm saying Frost, his seat is hot, but I think he's going to be okay. I would ask the chat this. I would ask you this. When you think about other coaches whose seats are maybe heating up, who are at risk of being fired, chat, Erin, who are the coaches who are most likely to be done or potentially done by the end of this year?
Man, the first one that comes to my mind, and I actually have him first week, is Bryan Harsin at Auburn. And I think he's going to prove a lot of doubters wrong. You look at Auburn and you look at what they have returning, especially on the defensive side of the football. I think their O-line will be good too. And the running backs are some of the best running backs and maybe the best running back tandem in the SEC. I think they're going to be better than people expect. But if they're not, with the average season they had last year, with all the issues they had in the offseason, when, essentially getting rid of Coach Bobo on offense, losing your defensive coordinator who took a pay cut to leave Auburn, and essentially saying, hey, I'm going to do it my way. I mean, because what's the big thing? When Bryan Harsin took over from Boise State, what did we say? It's like, hey, man, you got to go get some SEC blood in the coaching staff room. You got to bring in guys that know how to recruit, that have relationships, that have been in this league. He went and did that. He went in and appeased everyone else, said, hey, we're going to do that. Didn't work out. He said, I'm going to do it my way now. I'm going to bring in guys that I know that are from my staff originally at Boise State. So this experiment of saying, hey, can we bring a Mountain West staff to the SEC, to the SEC, to the SEC West? We'll see if it works. And if it doesn't, with all the issues, and we know how crazy Auburn fans can be when it comes to, if you don't win right now, you're gone. If it doesn't
Yeah.
succeed this year, is he out the door? That's going to be the big question mark. I don't think I'll rephrase this. I think he does succeed. I am very confident this is going to be a pretty good Auburn team, an Auburn team that could win possibly 8 football games, 7-8. I
Oh,
don't think they're
wow.
6-6, but if they're 5-7, if they are 5-7, he may be gone after this season.
Here's my question on Harsin. First off, I am going to ask you about explaining why you do think Auburn's capable of getting to the 8-win mark, especially after the disappointing fashion in which they ended last year. But here's my question on Harsin in terms of being on the hot seat or not. Is it possible for him to be on the hot seat? Like, yes, Auburn wants him fired, right? I mean, they literally tried to create an investigation and scandal out of thin air to fire this man for cause. That's what will happen when you start 6-2 and finish 6-7. They were ready to run him out of town completely. But the reason why they had to create that scandal is because have you ever seen the final math, Aaron, on how much they paid to move on from Gus Malzahn to Bryan Harsin? It's unbelievable. It's $72 million. And the worst part about it is it's on the edge of the NIL era of college football. Gus Malzahn would have been way better. Like Auburn would have been way better off sticking with the Gus bus and investing that $70 million in just paying players. Instead, they now pay to fire Malzahn and his staff. They pay to hire Harsin and his staff. They this awkward, toxic situation where they try to create a crime out of nowhere to get him for cause. That doesn't work. I don't know if you can fire him this year. Like almost no matter what. Now, granted, that might be a bit naive on my part, given what we know about college football fans and their ability to be rational in the face of disappointing results. But like, I actually believe that Harsin is relatively safe. If he hits 8 wins, he's definitely safe. So
Yep.
Aaron, help me out here. How does Bryan Harsin get to 8 wins?
Well, I think they got to start the year off 4-0. I think that's the big key for them, and I think they have the possibility to do that. Look at their schedule: Mercer, San Jose State at home to start the season off. Should be 2 wins, and going back to the beginning of the season, all 4 games to start the year are at home for them. Mercer at home, San Jose State at home. 2 good opportunities for this offense to somewhat rebuild and retool. Most likely under TJ Finley. It looks like TJ is going to be the guy. Zach Calzada was not in love with him last year at A&M. People thought just because he transferred in that he was going to be essentially awarded the position as starting quarterback. That's not the case. Just because you're gone somewhere through the transfer portal doesn't mean you're going to be the starter. I was looking at him as more of a guy that can bring some competition, a guy that can come in and bring some depth to the position that they need. But TJ Finley is the leader in the locker room. He looks to be the leader heading into that first week matchup versus Mercer. So you take care of those 2 games, 2-0. All of a sudden, Penn State comes into town. You remember the game last year in Penn State, back and forth, really good football game. Penn State wins. Crazy environment. Auburn, one of the best environments in the SEC. I think Auburn's a better team than Penn State. Have an opportunity to go 3-0. All of a sudden, Missouri comes into town after that. Auburn should be a better team than Missouri. Boom. 4-0. At worst, I will say at worst, I believe the first 4 games of the season, 3-1. I think there's a realistic opportunity for them to be 4-0. What do you know after that? They get LSU at home, another team that I'm high on. I love my Tigers this year, but still have to prove it to me. You get them at home, 5 straight home games to start the year off. It puts this team in a huge advantage to go 5-0 possibly. I think 4-1 is best case for me, but it wouldn't be out of this world to go 5-1. So, or excuse me, 5-0. So 4-1 before you get to meet your schedule at Georgia, at Ole Miss. I think they could take care of business at Ole Miss before that bye week. And then rest of the season, you get Arkansas at home and you get Texas A&M at home as well. So schedule looks great for a year where you have to travel to Athens and a year you have to travel to Tuscaloosa. The rest of the schedule is pretty sexy for the Tigers.
Okay, Aaron. Okay, I see you. And I you know what? I'll add on to that in saying that I watched TJ Finley very closely, obviously. breaking down his film when he was at LSU, and I'm very high on TJ Finley. Like I think he has a ton of potential. I liked his decision making. He obviously has like an absolute rocket arm, right? But he is someone who has the physical skill set to be an elite pocket passer, and then yeah, like you said, tank dude. So that's a pretty strong 1-2 punch at the to a couple important positions. Chat mentioned Mac Brown, Aaron, and to
Mm-hmm.
me, Mac Brown is in a tough spot because he is he is almost a victim of his own success, right?
Yeah.
What determines a fan base's happiness is never actually the objective results. It's where do those results land in relation to expectation, right? If Vanderbilt gets bowl eligible, they'll be ready to clown Clark Lee or crown Clark Lee. If LSU goes 6-6, they'll be ready to clown Brian Kelly. Like it's all about the relation to the expectations. UNC, they were sexy a couple years ago. They finally got the preseason love. They put him in the top 10, all this stuff. And then, well, next thing you know, they fall short of that. And now everybody's completely off the UNC and Mac Brown bandwagon.
Yeah, they are, which is unfortunate. I mean, this isn't a program that you associate with great football still. I mean, it's still primarily a basketball school. So I think what he has built in a short amount of time, I don't view him as a hot seat guy. There is one guy though I do want to add to this list is Herm Edwards there at Arizona State. You want to talk about
Yeah.
some of the issues they've had this offseason, not winning football games, guys leaving the program. He's kind of getting up there in age. I believe he's around 68, 69 years old. With things starting to change with conferences, is he going to be there when the realignment occurs? I don't think so. I think they have a not so good season this year, and I think they move on from Herm Edwards at the end of the year. So I think to me, he's up there as kind of the. I mean, that booty is hot, like flaming
Yeah,
hot,
it's
and I don't see him surviving this season.
It's almost like you could say he's in hell with the Devils, which at his opening press conference, he told you he did not want to be. Also, I got to give Herm credit. He has accomplished the ultra rare combination of getting busted for recruiting violations while not recruiting a good class. It's unbelievable. Like, how do you do that? How do you get the NCAA in this age of the feckless NCAA who has no teeth and no bite to it? How do they still come after you and you still didn't even put together a great class? Yeah, dude, I think Herm is already written. David D in the chat says, T-Bob, did you play in the game versus the Dogs in 2013 with Aaron? No, I did not, David D. It's a little after my time, but hold on.
Oh, don't do it to me. You were in that 2011 game, weren't you, though?
Oh, I did play in this game. How about this, David D? Remember this one? Oh, yeah. Little Charles Scott last-second touchdown in Athens, FT Dub
Yeah,
in
that's when
2009.
yeah, when AJ gets a penalty for celebrating a touchdown, which was
Hey,
complete
show some respect,
BS.
AJ Green. Okay, how about that?
Complete BS.
How about that?
Yeah, the nicest man in the world. Just nonsense. So, what am I? I'm 1-1 for LSU as a starter, so I'll take that.
Okay, hell yeah.
Were you?
Oh
Were
yeah, I'll
you?
never
You?
forget
You were in
the
the 11 team. Were you in the SC championship team? 11.
yes. So that gives me
Okay.
2-0. A nice little 2-0 against
Another
against
questionable
UVA.
call. A little salty. I will be salt. I will get salty
What?
here for all those like, oh, Aaron's so salty. The Honey Badger at the 1 yard line drops the ball short of the goal line on the punt return touchdown.
Oh,
Should
that's
not have been a
right, dude.
touchdown.
I
We
forgot
should have been
about
up
that.
14 nothing heading into halftime. So yes, I will bring up
Yes.
memory lane, and yes, I will get salty here. Should have won that game versus LSU too.
Oh my god, dude! I forgot about it, but that was a tight punt return, dude. The second punt return he
That
didn't
was
score on was actually even tighter.
yeah.
Okay, speaking of, nope, that's not gonna work. Okay, let's talk Urban
No.
Meyer. Okay, because Urban Meyer is back in the news cycle, dude. Urban's big break. That's right, Urban returning to TV, and I will say this: I felt like this was inevitable. I felt like he was really excellent on television the first
Mhm.
time around. Like I still think about the studio clip where he's explaining the zone read, and like he was a pioneer of a lot of the concepts that have now shaped modern college football. I think the most shocking thing is still why in the hell did he choose to go to Jacksonville, do what he did, and basically burn a reputation that was built up over a lifetime, right? Like, it is the ultimate like, nobody could have ever said here, if he had never taken the Jaguars job, nobody could have ever said here and called Urban Meyer dumb, right? And I still don't think, like, I think he's obviously very football smart, right? But like, if you would have said that, you'd be like, that's ridiculous, dude. Look at his resume. Now people could say that and nobody bats an eye. It's just completely wild to me how when he got that Jacksonville job, he basically did everything that we have all accepted that you are not supposed to do when you are a college head coach going to the NFL. It was like, instead of best practices, he actively engaged in all of the worst practices. And yeah, his reputation took a massive hit.
It did. And I'll say this about coaches at both levels, especially at the NFL level. They think, and they should. I mean, that this is for all great athletes. I'll tell you that. The best of the best, they border the line of cocky and confident. Like, you got to kind of tiptoe it a little bit. Like, you got to think you're the baddest dude out there. You got to think you're a coach that could take any average player and make them an All-American or a Pro Bowler or whatever it is. And that's Urban. I mean, what has Urban done his whole career? He's won championships. He's produced Heisman Trophy winners. He's produced first-round draft picks. He's produced All-Americans. Well, why can't I take that success that I had in college and then do that in the NFL? That's the way these coaches are wired. But that's what makes them successful, because they have that belief that I can do anything, that I can turn a franchise that is complete garbage into a contender in the NFL. And you have to have that cockiness, because if he would have gone in there thinking like, oh, I'm just taking over this job in Jacksonville, this is going to be just ho-hum fun. No, like, you got to walk in there with your chest held high and I'm Urban Meyer. I've won championships. I've been one of the best coaches in college football in the past 15, 20 years. I'm going to walk into this job in Jacksonville. I'm going to turn this damn franchise around. So I love the confidence that he had leaving Fox, going to the NFL to take on that new challenge. Completely respect the man. What he did off the field and what he did kicking a punter, do not have respect for. So I think it's a little premature.
No, worse than a punter.
Meyer.
He kicked his kicker, like a guy who on the NFL level, the guy who on the NFL level is the literal difference between you getting fired or not, like you making the playoffs or not. Like, you have to respect that man. And I do want to be clear.
You mean respect the kicker or respect Urban for kicking him?
No, I want you to respect the kicker. That's what I'm saying.
Okay,
Kickers get a bad rap, but at the end of the day, we all have to rely on them. And on the Jacksonville,
which is still crazy to me.
Go ahead.
We have all these big, strong men on a football field, yet we do rely on a majority of games coming down to a kicker to win it. Do we
what
have
a
issues
wonderful
with this?
quirk.
What a
No, I
crazy
love
game
it,
we
dude.
play.
Exactly. That's my point, right? It's like how I view, like, when I look at cornerback and offensive tackle, they're two jobs that are actually incredibly similar, right? You're on an island, you're having to react to an elite athlete that knows what they're doing, and yet one guy's the biggest person on the field, one guy's the smallest person on the field. Like, there's just a beautiful kind of mirror, funhouse mirror image there that just speaks to the wonderful, quirky nature of football. Yeah, football's not a very intuitive game. Look, Urban's problem was not going to Jacksonville. I'm not saying that. I'm glad he took the job and everything. I'm just shocked that someone so football smart, like, did we not learn from Nick Saban? I thought after all the Nick Saban Miami stuff,
but he wants to be better than Nick Saban. He wants to be.
No, that's what I'm saying. But I thought that, but in terms of how to achieve that, like, I thought we knew you can't go to the NFL and treat these kids like they're college kids. And yet that's exactly what he did. And it's crazy to me that he did that in 2021. And obviously it blew up in his face, dude.
Well, I agree. The way he went about, once again, I agree with him going to take the job. He's a competitor. He want to get back into coaching. What's that next challenge in life? I've already excelled at multiple universities in college, from Utah to Florida to Ohio State. What's that next step? Let me go give the NFL a chance. I don't fault the man for having the cojones to go out there and take a job in the NFL in a very tough place like Jacksonville. Obviously, the way he went about it, the way he coached, some of the stuff he did off the field was bad. Just plain out bad. You should not do that as a human being. But this gets back to our topic of, why would he go back to Fox this year? I think he should have taken the year off. Like, I don't understand why jump back.
Yeah, let it calm down.
Negativity around it. let it calm down a little bit. Like Fox will give you your job back in a year.
Yeah.
And then this goes to point B here. Fox's desk right now. I remember I turned on the Fox, the pregame show last year, and it was obviously Rob Stone, I believe, was heading it off. You got Brady Quinn, you got Matt Leinart, you got Reggie Bush, you had Bob Stoops, and then Urban, and you're just like, man, the desk either needs to get bigger or you need less people. It just looked really crammed in. It was too tight. Like they didn't need to add Urban Meyer to an already filled up desk. Like you look at ESPN, they have what, 4 guys on the desk. They'll rotate Pollock in and give coach a break. So it's 4 guys. CBS, you turn on their pregame show. It's just 3 guys there with Zucker and Neuheisel and Brian Jones. Then I turn on the Fox. It's 6 dudes literally shoulder to shoulder looking like they're uncomfortable as hell, not having an opportunity to get a point in. It's like, you don't need 6 dudes on the desk. So get
Brady Quinn's just too jacked.
He is too
That's
jacked.
the real problem. Brady Quinn is too jacked. It was a literal problem when he was playing football. They told him you have to get less jacked because you're lacking the flexibility to throw the ball as effectively as you need to. Okay, I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to ask Chat, a very interesting question here, Aaron. You're the head of a college football program, okay? Would you hire Urban Meyer to be your college football head coach?
Depends on what program I am. If I'm a elite program, I would say no. If I'm a program that's a little bit desperate to win,
so you're West Virginia.
Yeah,
you're West Virginia.
Yes,
okay.
I would. Okay. Yeah, it's how desperate are you? I mean, how many drinks have you had that night, and do you want to take the 5 home or not? That's the question we're at right now.
Dana. I mean, let's be clear. West Virginia, no strangers to coaches who are going to have 5 drinks and maybe.
I would. It depends on the university. It depends on the university if I'm going to go to that level of taking him right now. In a year from now, like I said, if Urban would have taken the year off, done some community service work, done some good, worked on the PR, got his name back a little bit, then yeah, maybe you could have seen, hey, maybe if Scott Frost moves on for Nebraska, maybe he goes to Nebraska. Maybe he takes a job in the SEC if one of those up. Like, then yeah, I could have seen him taking that tier of job. But the big boys, I just don't know if they would want to go after an Urban. And right now, too, like Urban, you've made enough money, you've won championships, the NFL didn't work out. I'm sure Fox is paying you a boatload of money. What is the use of going to go be a coach at the moment? Just sit back. You work 5 months out of the year. You get to enjoy an off season, do some traveling. You owe your wife some traveling. And just be a good husband.
But that's the problem with these coaches, Aaron. It's exactly why you said a couple days ago that you didn't want to coach. They're just wired differently. Yeah. Like they're so obsessive and they're so all in. Like it, and this is probably why I'll never make that money. But like any normal person that had their money would not work. Right? Like no, I would just be chilling, living off it, maybe invest a little here or there, live somewhere low cost to live and just kind of relax, travel. But these coaches, man, they love it too much. They have too much pride. Like they're just wired a bit differently. And it's sad, man. I agree with you. If you're a major institution, I don't think you could take the PR hit, but no. I would have Urban Meyer coach my college football team. He's proven to be such a dominant college football head coach that, I feel like he could bring success. I mean, he did at Utah, Florida, Ohio State, everywhere.
T-Bob, so your school, LSU, your alma mater, was up for obviously a new coach this year. Would you have had beef if LSU hired Urban Meyer this year instead of Brian Kelly? Not saying that like he was like, hey, I'm not saying like, hey, LSU, we're down to 2 guys right now. It's either Brian Kelly or it's Urban Meyer. Like if Brian Kelly's still the head coach in Notre Dame, there's no thought about him leaving, and you guys went inside and hired Urban Meyer, what would your thoughts have been?
Okay, so there would be part of me that would be like, this is a bad hire simply because LSU the last couple of years has been dealing with a bit of a culture cleanup itself, with like a lot of like sexual harassment and Title IX allegations. Obviously, Urban Meyer's former staff members have been in some similar waters that he arguably, covered up for. Coming off of the Jacksonville firing, it would have felt like like you said, the stock is just so low at that time that if you're a major blue blood program, I just don't think that you could do it. Now, if LSU had, there would have been some small part of me that I probably would have had to quell or not put out there publicly that very selfishly and cynically and bottom lineally would have been like, well, I mean, he maybe gives you a pretty good chance of winning a natty. But it would have been very annoying to have to do the mental gymnastics to explain why I was excited for Urban Meyer. It is so easy to explain why I'm excited for Brian Kelly. Ryan Brumley in our show chat says Brady Quinn, best looking man I've ever seen. I would love to see Quinn in real life, right? Because there's always those disconnects where some guys look better in real
Is he
life.
not looking at the guy on the screen right now?
I know.
No, Brady
I know.
is. I've seen Brady in real life.
Whitest teeth in the game right here, though, dude.
Yeah, but Brady's got the hair. He's got the muscles. I'm working on the muscles. So everyone take a screenshot of this. Get me back in about 3 months. I'm on my season diet now. So Peloton up. And
yeah, but I mean, okay, but that's gonna thin you out though. But Brady's a thick boy.
Yeah, you know who's a thick boy is you want to talk about quarterbacks that were too big for their position. I was with Tebow last week at the SEC or ESPN conference. Dude, your boy, I mean, he looks like a house.
Well, I mean, bro, he's a tight end. Urban Meyer.
He's a tight.
I mean, right? He's an NFL tight end. Herb tried to make it happen. From Brady Quinn to the Big Ten, as the Big Ten got a big new bag, Aaron. We touched on this. I don't think we fully dove into it, but it's pretty fascinating what Kevin Warren did with this new Big Ten media rights deal, right? Where he said, ESPN, 40 years together, you've gone too hard, SEC. We don't need you, okay? We're going to instead create a triumvirate. We're going to partner with them, and let's do battle. And so he strikes deals with CBS, with Fox, and with NBC. 3 networks that very notably have major NFL games, right? So a lot of built-in advertising there. There's so many different ways you can approach this conversation. We can get to the ESPN angle. We can get to what it means for things like College Game Day and how you cover the team when you don't have access to any of the games and you're technically advertising for a competitor. But I want to start here. The money is crazy because it's especially crazy compared to the SEC. So the NFL right now, this comes from Andrew Brandt's Twitter. The NFL gets $10 billion a year for their media rights deals. The EPL gets 4.2. The NBA gets 2.6. The MLB gets 1.9. The Big Ten gets 1.07. Then it's the NHL at 625. And then the SEC is at 588. And this is not going to have any impact in the short term, but that's a pretty big gap there. And over time, that's going to result in Big Ten schools getting significantly more money. And the final piece of genius in Kevin Warren's deal that he struck, Aaron, is that it is a shorter deal than what the SEC signed at ESPN. So, like, I think a lot about how LeBron James changed contracts in the NBA, how players approach contracts. Back in the day, it was always get the longest deal you can, the most guaranteed money, so you never have to worry about anything again. LeBron's like, no, dude, I'm really good. You're going to keep paying me. I'm going to sign these 2-year deals. I'm going to hit free agency again, and you're going to have to pay me again because the money always goes up, right? So Kevin Warren saying, I have a product that I know you're going to keep wanting, so let's do 7 years, and then you're going to re-up, and you're going to pay me more. And the SEC, they could potentially renegotiate 2 to 3 times before the SEC even gets to at ESPN. So, like, I know a lot of people are still saying, the SEC is still the best and whatnot, but this is a massive win from where I sit on multiple fronts for the Big Ten.
Well, and also don't forget there's a clause in the contracts too. If they add more teams to the Big Ten, that there is an opportunity to make even more money. So we talk about the Big Ten and their goal to get to 20, and hopefully, fingers crossed, they get rid of the name Big Ten. Maybe they're just going to be called the Big Conference at the end of the day. But if you get the 20 teams, that's more money. So they're going to continue to push for teams like Oregon and Washington, and which makes sense to me. Like, they need to make a mini West Coast for travel purposes, something that we talked about the other day. But yeah, when it comes to the amount of money going to these schools, that's the name of the game, especially in an NIL world where there's universities are a little bit worried about, hey, my big donor, I need you to pay for these facilities. I need you to pay for my coaching contract. Oh, and I need you to save some money and be able to put towards getting this 4 and 5-star recruit through a collective or whatever deal. A booster eventually is going to say, okay, enough's enough. I can't be paying essentially for everything. So now what are they going to say? Okay, you got your money taken care of. The Big Ten, you're getting paid a ton of money through these new rights. We can focus a little bit more on getting these athletes paid through NIL opportunities as well. So yeah, huge win for the players, huge win for them. I think it is a big deal. I mean, when you turn on a Saturday and you see Fox at noon, CBS at 3:30, NBC, I believe, at 7:30, that's great stuff. I'm not going to lie. The issue is when you get to the lower games. So if you're not getting one of the premier games on either Fox, FS1, CBS Sports Network, or NBC, you're going to be like on Peacock or some other streaming device, which most people don't have. The good thing with ESPN is everything's going to be there readily for you. You can watch it on ABC, ESPN, ESPN2. You can watch it on your mobile app. It's just a lot more, I would say, user-friendly if you want to consume every SEC game every single weekend. So that's the big difference. But at the end of the day, money is money, and they're going to be making a lot more of it. So I don't think they're bitching and moaning too much about, hey, one of my games may be on Peacock, and there's going to be some fans upset that they possibly can't or don't have the ability to stream that as easily.
Dude, the only people that I don't understand in all of this, what the heck is CBS doing?
Look at you, 4 days into the show, and we're about to drop 2 cuss words. I love it.
I know, dude. I have a salty mouth. I can't help it. And it's like when I know I'm on the internet and there's no FCC hanging over my head, it's just like
our
I'm
host
like
said
Eve
you can
at the
say,
tree.
Yeah.
Oh, I can say fuck. Okay, cool. Right on, dude. I didn't really say. Even there, I felt like
you can't
a little
use it on
like
social
embarrassed
media,
to
I
say
guess.
it. I like couldn't commit to it. I have started cursing on social media. At some point, I decided I'm an adult. Like if I want to tweet out the F word, I'm going to tweet out the F word, man. It's very empowering. You should try it. Here's what I would say. Okay, yes. So if I'm going to use my one F bomb for the day, what the fuck is CBS doing? That's my question, dude. So they don't want to pay the SEC $300 million for the best SEC game each week, and yet they just paid the Big Ten $375 for the second best Big Ten game each week. Like somebody screwed up. Somebody misread the room, misread the market. I do not understand that. Okay, I apologize. It is technically 2, Brumley. We'll keep it to 1 from here on out.
I'm with you on CBS though.
Like what are they doing, dude?
Trust me, I am devastated as a former CBS employee who was looking to continue to work my way up and be a part of the SEC and have had an opportunity of calling the essentially the B game behind Gary when we have double headers. And so I will say this right now. I am the only person in the history of college sports to have grown up watching the CBS at 3:30, played on CBS at 3:30, and have announced CBS at 3:30.
Oh, dude!
I need a plaque right here from CBS. I'm gonna hit them up and say, "Hey, I need one," because I'm the only person who's ever done that before. Not to toot my own horn, but I think that's actually pretty cool. So I will miss it though. I mean, you and I grew up watching it. We grew up playing in it. I had the opportunity to cover it a few times. It's a special game. It's an incredible time slot.
So good to play it, dude.
I get it. I don't get it, man. But talking with people at CBS when this whole thing went down a year ago, the thought was ESPN was not going to give it up. Even if CBS would have thrown 370, ESPN would have thrown even more money. Like ESPN had their set mind on, hey, we want to own the entire SEC. We don't care how much money it's going to cost. We have the SEC network. We want to keep everything in-house. So it was going to be a bidding war that they just weren't going to win at the end of the day. So that's why you saw them move on. And they weren't going to lose college football. I was a little bit scared for a while they were. But
I thought they were. Like that was my read on it. I thought they were just going away.
I thought they were. And then it was like, hey, if you don't get the Big Ten. So this is what it was. About 3-4 months ago, it was like, okay, we're going to try really hard for the Big Ten. But if we don't get the Big Ten, we'll go get the Pac-12. Well, boom, Pac-12 may go bye-bye. So like, okay, well, if we don't get the Big Ten, we really may be out of college football. So we better, we better essentially pony up, spend some more money to get at least some portion of the conference. So good for CBS. It would have been weird not to have that 3:30 spot. I just wish they would have found a new jingle because it just feels like cheating to hear that
It hurts.
music in Big Ten
It
football. It,
hurts.
it doesn't really work for me.
I mean, I get an immediate rush of adrenaline with "Bah, bada bing, bada ba 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 bing, bada boo." And then they were pretty petty and pretty forward and then pushing it out there with with the highlight package the other day.
Yeah, a little aggressive.
So for CBS, I would say that is a step back. Now it's time. Don't call it a comeback, Aaron. Wrapping up today's show, I'm going to give you a few teams, and you tell me whether or not this year they come back. Let's start. Lincoln Riley, USC. Fight on. How we feeling?
I feel great for Nebraska. I do. Year 5, we always say this after year 3, it's a must, but this is
Wait,
definitely a
hold on. No, no,
must for
not
them.
not Nebraska yet. Not Nebraska yet. Lincoln Riley and USC. Sorry.
Oh, sorry, my bad. I had
My bad.
frost on my head for some reason.
I mean,
Lincoln
I feel like it's
Riley
frost season.
at USC. We talked about it a little bit yesterday. I think they have a very good season this year. I do think they are back. I don't think they're going to be a 10-11 win team. I still think Utah is the team and possibly Oregon in the Pac 12 to be playing for the Pac 12 championship. But USC is going to be very competitive. I think the schedule lays out nicely, especially in the middle. A little bit worried about the start, a little bit worried about the end. But overall, I think this is an 8 or 9 win team. You know they're going to recruit well. Obviously, the ability to get more money through this Big Ten deal in the future. I think they got a top 5 coach in Lincoln Riley or top 7, 8 coach in Lincoln Riley. So yeah, USC is back, and it is so good for college football that they are.
I agree they're going to be back, and it's because of Lincoln Riley, and it's actually Travis Dye that pushes me over the top here. Like, I keep
Yeah.
forgetting they got Dye as well from Oregon. Is Texas going to be back? I'll start here and simply say no, because I don't know about Quinn Ewers. And, dude, I don't know if I believe in Sark. I don't know.
I'll say yes. I maybe, and once again, this is a difference of are they back this year or is just Texas the brand back going forward? I think going forward, will they have success year 2 in Sark? I think success is going to be, can you get to 8 wins? Can you get to 9 wins? I think they're going to flirt with that number. I think going forward, I think getting to the SEC is a major boost. And people are like, oh, well, they're going to be playing harder competition. If you can't win the Big 12, how are you going to win the SEC? It's all about recruiting. And what do we know about Texas? They got money. They got NIL opportunities. That's going to drive recruitment. You're in Texas. Now you can sell that, hey, you can stay in the state of Texas. You don't have to go to A&M. You can go to Texas, the bigger brand, and play SEC ball. That's a huge plus for them. And you can recruit to the West Coast and say, hey, kids, don't go to Alabama. Don't go to Clemson. Don't go to Georgia. Don't go to those elite schools on the East Coast. You can come just to Texas, to Austin, which is a great town, play SEC football, get paid a lot of money. So I just think
Yeah.
moving forward, it may not be year 2 for Sark, but I think if they give him time year 3, year 4, when they join the SEC, I think Texas is going to be moving in the right direction. And then they got a Manning coming. The recruiting buzz right now, I forgot to throw that in. The recruiting buzz and energy around Texas football is at an all-time high. Hopefully they capitalize on that, continue to bring in top-tier talent. So yes, Texas football, while it may not be this year, I think going forward is back.
Yeah, and see, to me, I'm talking about this year, and I don't think they're going to do it, dude. Next on the
Yeah.
list, Miami. I will say this as far as Miami goes this year, they got Tyler Van Dyke, right? Great
Yeah.
quarterback. And if you have the quarterback, you're close. I like Cristobal. But when I think about the best teams in the ACC, I don't know that I think that Miami's going to challenge for an ACC crown. So I'm going to say no. I don't think Miami's going to be back either this year.
Well, the good thing with Miami is they're in the Coastal Division, so they got Pitt, who I think has a good quarterback coming up, but they lost
Fair.
their top quarterback, they lost their top receiver. North Carolina, we talked about that program already. They're in the easier side of things, so for them to have success in the Coastal Division, it to me makes me feel like they have an opportunity. I like Mario Cristobal. I think he's a heck of a coach. You said it. They got a quarterback. We know they got athletes on that team. They got a bunch of returners back from last season. I would say Miami has a really legitimate opportunity to be the number 1 or 2 team in the Coastal. And if you think that is considered being back, then yeah, they have the opportunity to be back. I think long term, I still need to see more from them to crown them as like what I'm considering Texas or USC, where I feel like they have a little bit easier road to success.
The only thing that I'm worried about. Oh, look here, Brum found it. Here are the ends. It comes on Roger Sherman's Twitter. Here are the ends that are on cars throughout all of Ireland. It could not be more perfect for week 0. That literally, it looks like there's just hundreds of thousands of Nebraska friends driving around, all pumped up for this weekend. Um, I would say this. My only concern about Miami compared to USC and Texas is they have such wide pools to pull from. Texas and USC do in terms of money. So much of Miami is just funded by it's John Ruiz, right?
Yep.
That like I worry if that investment doesn't pay off, does he pull out? Does he get in trouble? Does he lose money? What happens if he does? Right? But well,
Yep.
we will see. We're gonna end with a question from the chat. David says, T. Aaron, if you could have any NIL deal, what would it be?
So if I was in college, I'm trying to think of the thing that I
Yes.
wanted most. I would go a car deal. I would like a car deal from Ford, or I would like a
Oh,
deal with, say,
Built Ford
Delta.
tough.
So my parents could, not have to drive to every game from Tampa to Athens. They could fly
Fair.
a little bit easier to Atlanta, get a nice rental car, come over to Athens, watch the game, fly back. I feel bad for my dad. He had 4.5, 5 years of driving to Athens every weekend, which is a beautiful thing because Athens is incredible. But man, that's an absolute wear and tear in the body. So I'd be a little bit selfish, get a nice new truck for myself, and then definitely hook mom and dad up with some flights.
I always wanted a gaming PC, man. Like a true top of the line badass one. And well, this is why I got to give a huge thank you to Papa Colin and to the volume for bringing me in, because this job finally let me justify to my wife financially that I needed to invest in one. So like I'm sitting here and this thing looks like the Green Lantern battery on OA. It's so impressive looking. I got 2 dual monitors staring at me. Thanks to volume, we got a great camera and everything. So my NIL deals at 33 years old, my Jesus year. Also, coincidentally, the years in which hobbits become adults. At 33 years old, I have finally achieved a lifelong ambition. I'm so happy, dude. I am legitimately
I'm happy. I'm
so
happy for
happy.
you.
And
I
I am
only wish my
happy.
33 would be as successful as yours. That's it. In about
Just
2
remember,
years.
it's your Jesus year, bro. Okay.
Yeah.
You lean into that, good things will happen. This, yes, gaming PCs were a thing back when I played Gulf South. Thank you very much. I'm not that old. I'm 33. Soon to be father of 3. Show some respect. But look, in all seriousness, thank you so much for hanging out. If you're hanging out with us live on YouTube, hit the like button, share it as we try to grow this thing. Subscribe to the podcast feed. Again, share that, man. Rate it, review it. Help us grow this thing into what we all want it to be, which is a very fun place. We come every single day, talk college football, hang out. We got some best bets coming out for you either this afternoon or tomorrow. Thank you to the volume. Thank you to our excellent producer, Ryan Brumley. Thank you, Aaron Murray. And we will see you on Monday.